there's not enough.
Sure. That's helpful.
Should be. You got it right here.
Everybody at the guest sign in?
Get that. Right here. Is this the thing? I got a cool.
Not yet.
I would do a report on that.
Board members sign.
If you guys would silence your phones, please.
You don't look they
If you have to take a call or anything during the meeting, please
silence
head out to the area.
I guess, sign the sheet down there, Brad.
The what?
Yes, sign
Yeah, they're still signing on it.
That's what you asked for, one.
For the board member.
Huh?
I'm signing against
Well, I don't think on,
Yeah, if you're here in place of someone, you can't vote.
Understood. Still need me to sign in though.
Yeah, please come. Pass it down there. Okay.
Yes.
Everybody sign in?
Ready? Good evening, everyone. Thanks for coming, ladies and gentlemen. We'll be following the agenda. And then when we get down to number 9, anybody that has anything to say, we'll give you 2 minutes, one at a time. We can all sing together, but we can't all talk together. So, that being said, meeting now come to order. Thank you very much.
Pledge allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hold on.
Chaplain.
Heavenly Father, we come to you today asking for your guidance, wisdom, and support as we begin this meeting. Help us to engage in meaningful discussion, allow us to grow closer as a group, and nurture the bonds of the community. In your name we pray. Amen.
Amen.
Secretary, call the roll call for vacant board.
President Ronnie Hicks.
Hold on a second, you should make a note and make sure it's in the minutes that we have attendees that are by remote. And this has something to do with the, I forgot what law it was now. Some of them, the Open Meetings Act, the Freedom of Information Act, one act that requires us to let everybody know people are attending by remote access. And, so call their name too, so that we get a verbal. If they don't give a verbal, then they have to be marked as absent. Understood?
Yes, sir.
All right, so that, just let's make sure that it's in the minutes. for that.
Yes, sir, it's in there.
Thank you.
So just leave those blank, and then we'll write it later.
Okay. President Ronnie Hicks? Ronnie? Is he on there yet?
Yeah.
Hello?
Hey, Ronnie, are you present? Yes.
Yes.
Earl Watts, first vice president.
Yes. Present.
Mark Nelson, second vice president.
Present.
Kate Broadhurst, present. Registered agent Vern LeClaire.
Present.
Correspondent secretary Larry Meisenheimer.
Present.
Treasurer Ken Morales.
Present.
Board director Don Shire.
Present.
Board director Ronald Swain.
Yeah.
Board director Wayne Abel.
Alternate Brad Young present.
I'm sorry.
I'm present for Wayne as the alternate, proposed 1308.
Board director Mike Harbison.
Present.
Superintendent Brad Labidi.
Present. I'll send it around, and only the board signs and the name.
They sign it.
They sign it.
Okay, since I saw, did roll call, please sign at your name if you are a board member.
Next to your box.
Sir, all present except for one.
Okay, can we have approval for remote attendance, roll call vote?
Say what?
We gotta have a roll call vote, so allow them to remote attendance.
Okay,
Make sure there has to be a motion, a second, and a roll call vote.
I'll make a motion to do a roll call vote.
On the issue whether or not to permit remote access.
so I write that in the minutes.
Yes.
Tom?
Yes.
Okay, motion made by
And
Oh, okay, there we go.
follow correspondence.
I saw that.
I know this is all kind of new and formal, but we gotta get it, once we get it done a couple of times, it'll become.
Right.
It'll follow. Yeah.
Who's second?
I'll have to, I'll have to.
I know.
Who made the motion?
Seconded.
Ken. Who second?
I'll second it.
Vern.
As soon as you get the list back, you go back down, do another roll call with everybody.
All those in favor?
Nope, we gotta wait to get the list back.
Oh, yeah, I gotta wait to get that back.
Roll call vote.
You pass that over real quick, Vern.
And then we record the number of yea votes.
Hey, Ken, yes, okay, sign it real quick.
You'll record the number of yea votes. Like 300 says no.
And the number of nays. Okay, so I'm supposed to do, Ronnie Hicks,
Yes.
do you agree with that motion?
Yes.
Nope, just
Yeah. Earl?
Yes.
Mark Nelson?
Yes.
Kate? Yes. Vern LeClaire?
Yes.
Larry Meisenheimer?
Yes.
Ken Morales?
Yes.
Donald Shire?
Yes.
Ronald Swain?
Yes.
Mike Harbison?
Yes.
Okay,
I'm gonna do it for him too, cause he's remote.
yes. So I have 10 yeas.
And two. I vote.
No nays.
No, yeah, I'm a vote too,
Oh, and Brad Labidi.
so.
Oh, so yours is your separate
No, just write down the number of total yeas.
11,
There you go.
okay?
0 no's.
0.
And then now you gotta make a.
You have a motion on the floor.
Motion on the floor to,
All those in favor say
No.
Oh, we did that.
It's already passed.
The motion.
motion passed.
Chairman, the chair of the meeting called, says.
Sir, we have 11 yays and 0 nays.
all being, present and counted for, motion carried.
Okay.
And next time you have the,
Now you can do a meeting and have everybody remote.
Next thing on the agenda is to approve the minutes.
Okay. Okay.
Minutes.
Yeah.
Oh,
Falling asleep on us already, right?
Alright, only the executive board gets a copy of these.
That's a real place.
Well, I guess I could do that.
Yeah.
I don't want to make that count too many. Everybody got a copy?
Should be one. I passed all mine away.
This is the October executive board meeting minutes. So, if you would, take a few minutes to read it. This is from
Last month.
October 5th.
Kate, would you, as secretary, make a note for the minutes that a copy, Frank, correct me if I'm wrong, but a copy of these minutes has been distributed to the two remote
Okay.
attendees? That should be noted in the minutes, or whatever.
A copy of all the,
Of the October minutes that are being considered right now have been provided to the two remote attendees. They're reading it at the same time we are, basically.
okay.
But there should be some note in the record that says they're looking at it, they've got a copy.
Okay. So it's 11. Call the chief, yes.
Everyone had a chance to read the minutes?
No.
Just this one, the one for
I use it on page.
October right
I'm
now.
on page 2, so everybody quits talking, I can read.
roll call.
No. Need a motion
Motion.
and a second, and then you can have a discussion among the board members if they have any questions about the minutes as published. But the appropriate move for the chair, is just to ask, say, if everybody's reviewed the minutes, it's appropriate to entertain a motion with regard to the minutes, and then let somebody from the board make a motion.
Everybody's had a chance to read these minutes. The secretary will have a roll call for vote, and then we'll have a motion for the, everyone's had a chance to read the minutes, we'll have a roll call from the secretary, and then we'll have a motion, to approve the minutes. Get it?
Somebody's gonna make a motion for
Make
it.
a motion.
I move the minutes be accepted as published.
Second.
Then motion.
Who said second?
Ron,
Ron.
that the minutes be approved as called. And with the
Okay.
necessary setting of commissioners. Roll call.
At this time, I'm going to do a roll call vote. Everyone,
Excuse me.
motion was made, second.
Hold on, Ron.
Oh, I'm
Hold
sorry.
on, Tiger. Let the chair ask for discussion.
Any discussion?
There you go. Now, if there's no discussion, then
Then
you.
you.
President Ronnie Hicks,
Yes.
Earl Watts,
Yes.
Mark Nelson,
Yes.
Kate, yes. Vern Leclerc,
Yes.
Larry Meisenheimer,
Yes.
Ken Morales,
Yes.
Don Shire,
Yes.
Ron Swaim,
Yes.
Mark Harbison,
Yes.
and Brad Levine.
Yes.
So we have 11 yes.
Be any discussions or anyone have anything to say? Otherwise, we'll go, motion's been carried. We'll get it.
You guys, you're doing a great job.
It's all new talk now. Let's see.
You're doing a great job,
So,
Mr.
Bear with us.
President, Mr. Vice President. You're doing great.
Okay.
We got it.
And I'll let him do the call.
Oh,
reports. November executive board reports.
All right, everyone, there was copies down there, I'm not sure, I think we made 25 copies, but, on page 1, administrative expenditures for November, contingency is $1.41, contractual services $9,675. Office furniture, $154.95, office supplies, $286.50, service contract, $16.14, staff training, $50.92 for a total of administrative expenditures of $10,166.92. Next section is the interim emergency veterans assistance. Veterans assisted last month 1, total vouchers issued 3. Financial assistance, the veteran came from Namioki Township. And then the categories of assistance that were provided were food, $250, shelter, $44.70, incidentals, personal, $180 for that total of $1,274. Page 2, other financial assistance by category 0, community financial assistance, monuments, memorials, $1,003.78 for a total of $1,003.78. Right below that are the total remaining balances by financial account type. Administrative account, we still have $80,579.54. Aid to vets, $106,373.41. Our levy fund, seldom the treasurer, $1,209,144.46. And we have 2 accounts. We have the petty cash tax fund, which is $3,932.23. Then we have our corporation fund, which is $6,147.59. Are there any questions over the board report from the board members?
What is service contracts?
anything that we may do contractual relationships with, like Burkhardt, printers, copiers, anything like that.
Just curious, thank you.
Dell.
Yeah.
Motion.
There you go.
Make a motion to accept the, reading of the minutes. Yeah, with
Make the motion.
with,
Mark,
any,
you said it.
necessary.
Right, Mark,
Yes.
Sure, I'll second. Sure, I'll second.
just a second.
Yes.
Motion and second. Any discussion? Roll call.
Well, I know you wanna go fast, but the guy's gotta call for discussion first, okay? Come on, Dave.
He was looking at me, I'm like.
Put the brakes on, girl.
Okay,
Let him, he's the leader, let him do it, he's doing it right, man.
no discussion?
No discussion. Hearing none, the, motion carried.
Okay, do the roll call
Roll
vote.
call. Didn't hear.
Ronnie Hicks,
Yes.
accept the minute, the board report. Earl Watts,
Yeah,
We're doing a roll
yes.
call for everyone.
Mark Nelson,
Yes.
Kate Rogers, I say yes. Vern Leclerc,
Yes.
Larry Meisenheimer,
Yes.
Ken Morales,
Yes.
Don Shire,
Yes.
Ron Swain, Mike Harbison,
Yes.
Brad Levine.
Yes.
That's 11 yes. And no nays.
None yes, no nays. Motion has been carried. To accept the minutes.
I like this.
Make a board report.
Well, this is,
It's on there.
got about 4 minutes down under unfinished
Those
business.
my notes.
Next on the agenda is, new
Under
business.
7D. 7D.
Okay, sorry. Give me those back. Sorry. Alright. Found your own. There you go.
New business.
Did you get all the rates and everything for that one?
New business.
You want me to go ahead
Yeah.
on this legal thing? Well,
What's on the agenda?
okay, well, I've got a report that, there are 3 things that are pending right now, well, there's a lot more than 3 things that are pending right now, but the 3 main things going on is, on September 1st of 2022, I received an email from the chief of the civil division of the Madison County State's Attorney Office asserting that the county would be required to reimburse any unemployment benefits paid to any terminated VAC employees out of its budget. Ron and Mike, can you hear me, or am I not speaking loud enough?
I can hear you then.
Fine now.
All right, you
I
can
can
hear me.
hear you.
All right, I'm gonna save my voice here. In any event, on September 14th, then, the VAC received an email from a Casey Bergholzer, office manager of the Effingham office of the IDES. That's the Illinois Department of Employment Security, making certain inquiries, which were inconsistent with my understanding of how the unemployment insurance works, because the VAC was not contesting either Mr. Young or Mr. Lyle's entitlement to IDES benefits. Then on September 16th, 2022, I emailed the state's attorney, Nielsen, she's the chief of the civil division, asking whether or not the county made an election under section 1405 of the Unemployment Insurance Act to reimburse benefits paid as opposed to paying contributions based upon benefit factor rate. Just as background, the way the unemployment insurance works is employers are taxed based upon their rating and how often they dismiss people and things like that. And it's called a contribution rate. local governments can opt out of that plan and agree to pay the benefits themselves. So I asked the state, and I asked the superintendent whether or not he had been notified that that was the case, and he said, no, we've never been notified about that. And I said, well, what about the history of past VAC employees who've been terminated? He said, it's always just gone through and they've gotten their benefits and we never contested it and nothing ever happens. Well, the state's attorney, this was mid-September, and I followed up with I got no response, followed up 10 days later with the state's attorney, still haven't responded. And as of today's date, 2.5 months later, the state's attorney still hasn't responded as to whether or not the county made such an election. I assume that the county has not made an election. We haven't heard anything back from that, so I consider that matter to be resolved until further notice. So, because I don't think the county has made that, and I haven't heard that anybody has been denied their benefits, and therefore that's where that stands. There's pending, I think it's pending, a complaint to the Attorney General regarding violations of the Open Meetings Act. And the dates on that is that on August 30th, 2022, Shannon Yount filed a complaint with the Attorney General's office claiming that the Madison County VAC violated the Open Meetings Act on August 10th and August 25th. Both of those were called special meetings pursuant to notice and agenda. On October 3rd, when such a complaint is filed with what's called the public access counselor for the AG's office, the public body who's alleged to have violated the act is called upon to respond. On October 3rd, I filed a response on behalf of VAC. On October 17th, Ms. Yount filed her response to the VAC's response. And that's where it stands. Under section 3.5 of the Open Meetings Act, it is my understanding that unless an extension of time is granted, the public access counselor may either issue its opinion within 60 days. Within 60 days of the complaint, or at its discretion may resolve the matter by means other than issuance of an opinion. An opinion is reviewable under the Administrative Review Act by the public body, which would be the VAC, but a decision not to issue an opinion is not. That's where that stands, and I don't anticipate a response yet because it was just a couple of days, October 17th, just a couple of weeks ago that Ms. Yount filed her response. So it's in the hands of the Attorney General's office. We haven't heard anything back from that. The third matter is Mr. Yount's claim against the VAC for on August 30th, 2022, Attorney John Mascara notified the VAC in a letter that he represented Bradley Yount, quote, in his claim against the Veterans Assistance Commission of Madison County arising from his termination that occurred on August 29th, 2022. Given the language that was utilized in the letter saying that he has a claim, I advise the superintendent to consider this to be an active claim against the VAC, and that for all instances where it was necessary to discuss the substance of any relationship with Mr. Yount and the VAC, they should be conducted in closed session with a specific citation to section 2C11, and to use the Mascara letter as the basis for a finding that an action is probable or imminent. That is going to be pending for some time because the statute of limitations on that case depends upon whatever case they try and make. But I haven't, since the August 30th, 2022 letter, I haven't heard anything. But until that is resolved, either by the statute of limitations expiring or some other way, that's my advice to the council, is that has to be done in closed session because it's litigation and it qualifies as an exception to the Open Meetings Act. So that's where we are. That's the only thing I have to report on with regards to legal goings on. We are still working on several other issues. Some of them are the review of the bylaws. and frankly, I didn't have any part in doing the bylaws in 2017 when they were revised, but I have noted that there's several matters that need to be revised simply because some parts in there that are just not workable. And one of which is it calls for action to be taken after an adjournment of a meeting. Well, you can't take action after you adjourn the meeting, so we're working on that. Those are also actions that are in the hopper that we will continue to work on to get the VAC ship in order with regard to moving forward. And that's about it. That's all I got. Unless anybody has any questions, I'll be more than happy to answer any questions from the executive board.
Are there any questions? Or do we need to call a roll call on this? We're not have to roll call. I think we just hearing what the Lord said. I think we ought to take it and lay it over until further notice from the parties at hand.
So I went ahead and distributed the next set of minutes. So as we were going through stuff, this would be next discussion on our unfinished business, but in case you wanted to read it, you have some time.
C, consider, no, we're gonna go past that, go down to B, executive board reading consideration, discussion and approval release of the August 25th, 2022 special board meeting closed session, recorded, and we have to have a roll call.
I'd like to comment on that if you would give me the floor for a second there, Mr. President, or Vice President, I should say. You guys were all here when we closed the meeting on October 25th. That meeting was recorded. You guys made comments during that meeting. The purpose of closing the meeting is so that you can speak frankly. But it's incumbent upon a board when they make a meeting like that confidential in order to accomplish a goal, and they are allowed to do that when they're considering hiring an attorney or retaining an attorney or ratification of retention of an attorney. And that's what was done at that meeting. Whether or not what was said at that meeting remains confidential, you can vote on it. If you don't think there's any need for it to remain confidential, then it's appropriate to vote to say there's no longer a need for confidentiality. And I'm telling you, I'm kind of lean toward full transparency, unless somebody thinks there's, remembers something they said at that meeting that would suggest that you want to keep it confidential. I asked that be put on the board, the agenda, so that Brad could release this recording to whoever wanted it. But if you guys, you guys were here, you know what was said. If you think something's in there that you don't want to be revealed because of confidences and stuff like that, frankly, I don't think we discussed any merits of any of the cases. So I could be wrong, but because I don't remember, my memories fades once in a while.
C,
No, we're gonna do
roll call.
if anybody wants to.
Well, there has to be a motion. Somebody has to say, yeah, I want that released, and I don't think there's a need to be confidential anymore. And then people can start arguing and say, you don't know what you're talking about, I want that confidential. You remember when I said this, that, and that? So that's where we're at right now.
Need a motion to that effect, so whether or not we want to keep it confidential or open. Motion?
Uh-oh, we dropped the phone.
That was me.
Anybody want to make a motion?
Anybody want to make a motion on?
You wanna keep it confidential?
Keep it
or you wanna-
on.
I think we just let it out there, I think. People might want to know.
For the public's opinion, is what you're saying?
Let it make available to the audience.
Okay. Well, we made a motion,
I'll second
keep
that.
it out there, so.
Don?
Yes.
Any discussion? Having none, we'll have a roll call.
Ronnie Hicks,
Yes.
Earl Watts,
Yes.
Mark Nelson,
Yes.
Kate Broadhurst, yes. Vern LeClaire,
Yes.
Larry Meisenheimer,
Yes.
Ken Morales,
Yes.
Donald Shire,
Yes.
Ronald Swain,
Yes.
Mike Harbison,
Yes.
Brad Labidi.
Yes.
The motion is
Sir, I
second.
have 11 yeses and 0 nays.
11 yeses, 0 nays. The motion is passed.
Make sure this is, make sure it gets another one, I think this is a different one.
Now we're going to the board staff dinner for December.
There's another set of meeting minutes coming around, I just wanted to give you guys some time.
You got extras?
Everybody should have. Alright, and then there's gonna be another set coming around.
Okay.
And then another set, so. I think I got them in, well, I gave you the 25th first, sorry. So, we've only had two dinners. One before COVID, and I think one last year. So, I mean, this is something that if, you know, I think we've talked about it before. If this is something that you think we should continue on, with doing, then that, give me the move forward. If it's something that you guys don't think we should continue to do, then that's up to you guys too. Once we figure out whether you guys wanna do it again, then we'll begin the process of setting a date and doing all that stuff, so. That's pretty much it on that.
Any discussion, or anybody want to make a motion that we continue or discontinue on the dinner?
Well, I'd like to make a motion that we do it because it's a lot of time to just socialize rather than all business. That's my motion.
Second.
Second. A motion by Kate, and second by Ron, that we continue the Christmas dinner. And any discussion?
I think it worked out pretty good.
Okay.
Should you invite the staff?
Well, we'll have to have a
Okay,
yea and nay vote,
roll call vote.
roll call vote.
Ronnie Hicks,
Yes.
Earl Watts,
Yes.
Mark Nelson,
Yes.
Kate Broadhurst, yes. Vern LeClaire,
Yes.
Larry Meisenheimer,
Yes.
Ken Morales,
Yes.
Don Shire,
Yes.
Ron Swain,
Yes.
Mike Harbison,
Yes.
Brad Labidi.
Yes.
Sir, I have 11 yes and 0 no's.
11 yes and 0.
See, I told you, kid. Stop moving. Motion carried. Yeah. Motion carried.
Motion carried. G, Superintendent Bradley Beat and the Executive Board delegates, alternates attend the winter IEBC Board Direction meeting in February in Peoria. Anyone that desires to go, is that one with, just you go, or
No.
anybody else could go?
Will it be the delegate or the alternate? So Hicks is the delegate and you're the alternate. So if either you guys can't make it, then it goes to the second. So on down.
For myself, in February, I'll be attending.
Two of those. I screwed up. Okay, does everybody have a 3rd and the 10th?
No. We have the 25th one and the 10th.
And the 10th. Okay, sorry.
I got another one, there's 2 more that's coming too, so.
Okay.
I'm just getting them out so you guys can start reading.
Okay.
The 3rd one. Make sure I get a copy of that.
How many days in that DEC? One? Yeah.
Okay.
You need motion or anything in there?
No.
Move on.
We're moving on, we just getting
Okay. Along with number 7.
Do them, yeah, I know.
Hey, can somebody mute themselves? That's fine.
I think that's the nurse talking.
Oh,
No, that's wrong.
he can mute himself.
Oh, I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
We're done with IVC. We're good with 7 unfinished business.
Tell Ronnie to get Kathy under control.
Get down and do push-ups.
Unfinished business. We'll read the discussion, consideration, approval for August the 3rd, 2022. August the 10th, 2022, August the 25th, 2022. Deferred executive board director meeting minutes. These are the past minutes that we had deferred.
Everybody have a copy of each one, right? You should have the 3rd, the 10th, and the 25th.
You're correct.
If you do not, forever hold your peace. It's up top.
Yes.
Okay. So we'll be taking those in the order, the 3rd, the 10th, and the 25th. So if you're reading them, focus on the 3rd right now. Hey, Ronnie? Can,
Are we done on the minutes?
About all 3 sets?
Yeah. I do
I'd recommend that you take them one at a time,
That's what
Mr.
I'm-
Chairman.
I was gonna ask
You should call for a motion on each one, to pass individually as they've read them, and then ask for discussion on each one. People might have questions, and now it's time to ask them, but make sure each one is individually passed.
I think we lump them together, we might be doing this service. Pretty much everybody should be done, so we'll do August the 3rd first. The motion on, accepting those minutes.
I'll make the motion. August 3rd.
Who said aye?
Mark.
Mark.
Any discussion?
Second.
Motion and second.
Larry?
Any discussion? If not, we'll have the, roll call vote.
The motion is to accept the August 3rd.
August the 3rd. The minutes to be approved for August
Okay.
3rd.
Roll call vote, Ronnie Hicks,
yes,
Earl Watts,
Yes.
Mark Nelson,
Yes.
Kate Broadhurst, yes. Vern Leclerc,
Yes.
Larry Meisenheimer,
Yes.
Ken Morales,
Yes.
Don Shire,
Yes.
Ron Swain,
Yes.
Mike Harbison,
yes,
Brad Levine.
Yes.
Sir, that's 11 yes and 0 no's.
Voted yes and 0 no's, the motion been, approved. Number 10/22.
Now, gentlemen, you'll recall that, I asked for deferment of these minutes, or all these 3 sets of minutes. You'll also note that under the special minute business, or special meeting business minutes of the 10th, there's a big note in there. You guys were here. You're gonna have.
I wasn't here.
Okay,
You got me down as being here, I wasn't here.
all right. Is this the one where people that were part of the other board was here, or?
No, I was at a church board that day.
Okay.
That's the second Wednesday of the month.
And I didn't get any sign-in sheet, so
In any event, that it's incomplete, we need help to finish the minutes, because, Ronnie, you'll recall that, I discussed it with you, and you said you weren't sure there was ever a vote to go into executive closed session.
that's correct.
I don't, and so I don't know, I wasn't there, so I don't know, you guys decide what was done. Or you can say we don't have a recollection of it, but it's one way or the other, we have to pass minutes at today's meeting, cause it's due to the second regular meeting after the incident occurred, so that's today. So we can pass them as is with the notes, or somebody that don't hold back, if you know what happened and you wanna add something to this, or change it, like, you said, you weren't here, then please do. This is an opportunity for you guys to kick in and do it, and once we get this set, and frankly, I don't even know if there was an adjournment at all. I don't know whether people just.
There was.
or if somebody has,
There was an adjournment.
There was an adjournment.
was there a sign-in roster? I think that there was one that said that
We had,
I got a note.
we had a sign-in roster, what may have happened to it, I don't know, but we had a sign-in roster. I signed it.
I didn't know Mark on anybody that was there,
Right, I should be members excused.
so we can strike that or remove him from the minutes, correct?
Yes.
Was the minutes
This
recorded?
is a draft.
No.
You-
It wasn't recorded.
And if you get to the point where you're ready to approve these minutes as you've corrected them, you can make a motion to approve them as corrected by the interlineations being made by the secretary. So, Madam Secretary, as a correction is made, make sure you're making those interlineations, okay? And then somebody can make that motion.
Yeah.
Got it?
Absent or excused.
We can't do that
So-
today, though, can we?
Yes, yes, you
So
can.
somebody remembers a sign-in roster going around, but no one knows where that sign-in roster went.
I don't even know if it's going around, Brad, I just know that
Okay.
there was one right there,
So-
so. I have no
Yeah, cause you
idea.
were down there with me.
And yeah, down there with you, Kate, and also I remember that Ronnie said that, we were gonna go into executive session, but I don't believe we went around the table to take action, or if we're supposed to take a vote or whatever, because it was a little disruptive.
I remember making a motion
To go into executive
Yeah, right.
session?
Yes.
Okay. When we did that though, for some reason, I did not write, or did I have it in there that 6:40? I don't remember, I remember something, but I did not put in there a time when we went into executive session, so I was wrong there.
to, human.
For whatever reason.
Well, we're gonna put down the best recollection that we can make.
Well, it
That's all
says
you
here.
can ask to do.
It says here, Ken Morales suggested.
Is
board
the
meeting.
10th when you guys were all here?
Yes.
Oh, I'm just, yeah, for my clarification. And Tim was on, oh,
The list of everybody that's there is in the next page.
oh, that's right, yeah, you're right.
And that's the recollection, and then, you know, there's some things there about people, it being, some people recollected that it was a bathroom break. When the board members returned, CJ was still in the room addressing the board. So that causes the question, was it a true closed session? Because if that was the case, then there would have been no visitors or guests in that room. They would have already been,
I remember Ron's wife leaving,
yeah.
stepped out, and the other people I remember stepped out also.
Was CJ gonna sworn in the room, or was it on the bench, after everybody left out?
I don't know, I dropped off the phone, I heard there was another, just what is there, what we have, so. Unless anybody else.
Brad, my best recollection of that was Larry had to use the bathroom, Larry and Vern.
That's correct, that's right, Ronnie, I did.
Well, you guys remember that, so that's a good,
I don't remember why I would have disconnected anyone from a phone.
did you disconnect that? Because there was another person that was occupying this phone and I could not call in. So then Dr. Mike had to call me on his personal cell phone. And
But
then,
I didn't have any phone, why would I have, I don't remember me having a phone.
so then are we to assume that that person stayed on the line?
No, because we have that person's
Okay.
email.
That person was someone from the state's attorney's office.
Thank you, Doc,
And
I
they
was,
called in, you know, and then Ron, you ended up having to use your phone because my phone got disconnected or something like that from Brad, and so then you used your phone to call Brad.
Right.
Okay, I don't remember, but if you,
I remember shuffling around phones, but I don't know the who, what, when, where, whys, or hows. And I did not mark any of that down.
Well, additional information that I have based upon, an attachment to, Shannon Yount's response to our, Open Meetings Act violation was that there was an AG guy on the phone, on, I guess, something like what they're on. maybe.
Yes, he was on there,
And
yes.
he states he didn't know who, but he was disconnected right after someone suggested they go into executive session. But my recollection is, from what he said, is that, in his email, is that he doesn't know whether there's a vote to go into executive session or not, or a closed session or not, and, well,
His phone call was terminated, like, he was, like, that phone call was disconnected so far beyond past everything being done, like, it wasn't even, like, yeah.
And
Like,
then-
what he's trying to say, because everybody kept going, okay, well, can we disconnect him, blah, 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 and people kept going back and forth about whether or not we could even disconnect him. And then it was literally like, we were about to go into the closed session, and we're like, okay, we're going into closed session now, like, you cannot be on the phone call, and disconnected it.
I thought that was Ron Swain that did that.
No, it was the guy from the AG's office he did not get disconnected from that phone call until, I mean, we were literally like, there was nobody else left. The only people that were left in there were executive board members and, sorry, my kids are getting loud, but we're executive board members, and we had already had the debate on Brad being on the call or not when we went to the closed session. And then we were literally, I mean, it was just us in there. We were already basically in a closed session. We were just waiting to start to figure out how to terminate him off the phone call. But he did not get terminated early or anything like that, no.
Right.
And I wouldn't know how to hang up somebody on that phone anyway.
Do you have enough to correct the record?
So, Doc, you were saying that the AG office guy was terminated after we said we were going in executive session.
Yeah, so when we went into,
Our closed
we were
session.
going, when we were going into like the closed session where everybody was out, and everybody, like, we got everybody out except for board members.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody was already out of the VAC board room. Everybody was already out of the room. And then we decided, then that's when we terminated the phone call with him because we were going into the executive session. But his phone call was terminated after everybody else was already asked to leave because we were going into executive session. So it was not like prematurely terminated or anything like that.
Does anybody that was there recall whether a vote was taken to go into executive session?
Doc, do you remember that? Was there a vote?
I do not know.
Then that's what we have to say, because that, you can't say something that you don't recall, or that you don't, if you don't recall is the best answer you got, that's the best answer, that's what you're gonna put down. Okay, and that goes as a no, you didn't do the vote, so yes, that was probably a violation of the not probably, that was obviously not a violation of the Open Meetings Act, if in fact you went into what you considered a closed session where you asked people to step out of the room. No big deal, that's what it is what it is, mistakes are made, we'll move on.
You remember?
Now, I will ask this question from everybody. This should be part of the minutes too. Was anything done while you were in closed session regarding any kind of vote? Was any kind of a vote taken on a motion that affected the organization? On a matter of substance?
No.
Okay, well then that, you can definitely say there was nothing voted on during closed session. Even though you may have gotten there in an irregular fashion, you didn't vote on anything. I don't know what else to put in here.
Times. Any times. We went into executive session at 7 ? Anybody remember how long you were in?
Not very long.
So,
About 20 minutes, something like that, maybe.
I don't think it was that long.
so unsure?
No, I don't think it was that long.
No.
Okay, let me write what I've written as corrections. Larry and Vern, the bathroom break. Doc said that the AG's office guy was terminated when all others were out of the boardroom and we were going into executive session. We do not recall a vote on going into executive session, and nothing was voted on during executive session. Is that correct?
I believe it to be, yes.
Was there any votes coming out of executive session?
After we came out of it?
When you're in executive session, you gotta vote to come out of it.
I don't think we did that.
Okay.
No.
And no vote to come out of.
Make sure that's in there, that you
I am.
recall that there was no vote to come out either.
And then nobody remembers the time other than unsure.
Yeah, right.
And I did not disconnect anyone, Pete.
Don't the camera feeds pick that
Put
up
that
and
down.
timestamp it? Doesn't the camera pick that up so you can see when people walk in and out? Wouldn't that help with the timestamp? The video cameras in the lobby?
Oh,
No, I don't think.
the county probably, I think that was when the county probably didn't even have them hooked up.
Thanks, security.
Well, if they're not, I don't know, we have some control on the cameras, so not that I'm aware of. Okay, so there's that. What else is put in here? And we can put in that there was no verbatim recording of any part of the meeting, open or closed. Is that correct?
Absolutely.
That we did. There could have been somebody in attendance that was recording, but that the board did not have a recording device going on. Is that right or wrong? That's correct? Okay. Include that in the minutes and then.
No recording of any sort
By the board.
By the board.
by the board.
We don't- if somebody else made a recording, that's fine, but we don't. We'll have to look at whatever they did.
Of anything on August 10th.
Yeah, we can only do what we know. And then, this is where, Ronnie, this is where you're gonna have to come in, because when I talked to you about this meeting, you said that, you made a note that, Larry Meisenheimer moved and Don Shire seconded to adjourn at 8:05. And then Kate's note suggested it was Ken Morales who moved and Ron Swain who seconded to adjourn at 9:05. So,
Was that-
so which one was it? Was it late at night or was it?
Take a vote.
I don't think
It was-
nine.
I think it was.
It was 9, yeah, it was the 9 o'clock.
It was late.
Yeah.
And who moved to adjourn? Who, was it Ken and Ron then?
I think
Was-
Maxenhammer, I think, did a late move for the adjournment.
Was one out of executive session and one,
No.
oh,
You're going against the consensus here. They all said there was no vote to go in and no vote to come out.
I don't
We're
know.
stuck with that.
I don't know.
We're stuck with that. That's gonna be the bottom line, okay? And that's our best of our recollection. Now, then the rest of it is, did Larry move and Don second to adjourn at 9:05, 4 p.m.?
Yes.
Yeah.
I'll answer that.
Okay, there you go.
Under oath.
so which one?
It's
9:05.
Yeah,
So it was
so it's
Larry-
Ken and Ron,
No,
Larry.
Larry and Don.
Don.
okay?
Now read all
What time did we agree on?
9:04.
Okay.
Yeah.
It was late, I know that, yeah.
All right, well, one last time, why don't you read all the corrections that you have, and then perhaps maybe a motion would be in order to approve the minutes with those corrections, and then you can go forward from there. And that's the best we can do for the town.
Okay. Here's, number one, there was no recording of any sort by the board on August 10th. We did agree that after the bathroom break, Larry and Vern, Doc did say that I do remember this too, the AG office guy, whoever he was terminated on the call when all others left the boardroom to go into executive session. None of us can recall a vote to go into executive session, and no one can recall a vote or a motion to come out of executive session. And nothing was voted on during executive session. And then at the end, Larry, and Don made the motion to adjourn at 9:04.
And that the sign-in, you need to add us, that the sign-in roster was available, that no one knows where it went.
Okay.
And did you change the,
You got Mark on it.
Mark was not present?
Yes, I did change that.
Okay.
There we go.
She gotta make a motion, what we voting on.
Now I hope you guys understand why we
Somebody
needed
can
to
make a
defer
motion
this.
to
We needed to find out what this is all about. And after the deliberation, it's up to you guys to make a motion to approve them as amended.
Do we have anyone to make a motion, for approval of minutes as amended?
I'll make a
Necessary
motion.
corrections.
I'll make a motion to accept it as corrected.
Second.
I'll second.
Second, Morales and.
Who said second?
Ron.
Ron.
Ron second.
You guys, I'm not looking, you gotta tell me who you are, please.
Me.
Me don't work.
Worth a try.
Okay, so did you guys everybody remember what all the motion, or all the changes were? Okay, so we're voting on to accept the motion to, as amended.
As amended, the minutes.
Vote, roll call vote. Ronnie Hicks,
Yes.
Earl Watts,
Yes.
Mark Nelson,
Yes.
Kate Broadhurst, yes. Vern Leclerc,
Yes.
Larry Meisenheimer,
Yes.
Ken Morales,
Yes.
Don Shire,
Yes.
Ron Swain,
Yes.
Mike Harbison,
Yes.
and Brad Levine.
Yes.
Motion will carry.
So I have 11 yes and 0 no's.
11 yeses, 0 no's. The motion has been approved and ready with necessary corrections. Any discussion? Hearing none.
You had discussion.
All the votes already over, you can't answer.
Hey,
There you go.
help me out. Okay, we're going to August 25th. For the same report to make necessary changes. Any discussion on that, August the 25th, need any changes, to the minutes?
We haven't had a motion on that yet, have we,
No.
to accept them?
Ready to make a motion on August 25th?
I'll make the motion.
Accept the minutes with, any necessary, updates or corrections?
I'll second them, Shire.
You get that, Kate?
No, that's in the, that's in it. That's in it.
Yeah. Mark made a motion to accept the August 25th and Don Shire second,
You heard the motion?
Without change.
without change,
Without
yes.
change. No discussion, ready to call for roll call?
Roll call for the vote.
Yeah.
Ronnie Hicks,
Yes.
Earl Watts,
Yes.
Mark Nelson,
Yes.
Kate Broadhurst, yes. Vern Leclerc,
Yes.
Larry Meisenheimer,
Yes.
Ken Morales,
Yes.
Donald Shire,
Yes.
Ron Swain,
Yes.
Mike Harbison,
Yes.
Brad Levine.
Yes.
So we have 11 yeses and 0 no's.
Motion. Carried. All in favor?
It's already,
I'm gonna pass around the July 6th one, the next thing on the agenda. You got one more set of minutes coming around, make sure you get the copies back. This one has already been published. So this is the one, that was for the reconsideration, so.
okay.
And then Tom will go into.
You said you wanted these back?
Yeah, the extra copy.
Oh, extra.
You got the extra ones.
Gentlemen, you will recall that, on the agenda, there was a reconsideration, discussion, update, approval of the July 6, 2022 Executive Board Directors Meetings Minutes based upon conflicting information. That's what the agenda that I'm reading it says. Y'all recall that? You may recall that, I think at the last meeting I was at, when I asked that all the meetings be deferred, I also mentioned that we might be looking at the July minutes as well. Again, I'm tending toward full transparency, and I would prefer that you not eliminate what's already been published and approved, but that you should consider the accuracy of what has been published and approved. I wasn't there, I don't know, but I think Kate was there and she made notes about this. And frankly, it was Kate's notes that gives rise to the discrepancies that we've discovered with regard to the July 6th minutes. If you look at the board that, up there, this is where we're talking about. These are her handwritten notes.
Sorry about the scribbling, guys.
The minutes, and go to the next slide. I've enhanced at the next slide. Keep going, keep going.
I'm getting there.
Right there. That's the, I've brought that out to you. And basically it says Brad L., if I'm reading it correct, you
Yes.
guys decide whether you're reading it right. Announced that Brad Y. be moved as moved
As
as
assistant,
assistant superintendent soon.
right.
And I'll let Kate talk about what she meant by soon there. If you then go to the next thing, which is the actual minutes that were approved, that's the entire minutes right there. That's what's published on our website right now. And at the next slide, I zoom in to what in fact was approved. And I talked to Kate about this too. This is subsection C of section 7 on our new business. It says, Superintendent Brad Levy advises the board that per the newly adopted FY 2022 and FY 2023 proposed vertical and horizontal staffing plans, and with the 2023 budget approval, Office Manager Brad Young will be promoted to the newly created Assistant Superintendent. According to Kate, she did not believe, and you guys were there, you know, those that were there know whether it was accurate or not. Kate, I'll turn it to you as to what, you're the one that was complaining about this and what you feel was
Well,
inconsistency.
The handwritten notes that you've seen are my scribbling, is exactly what I wrote. At the end of every night, as I did these, I would always pass my notes to the office manager, and the office manager took care of printing them. I did not ever print the minutes. It was handed over to the office manager, which was Brad Yunt, and that is what I gave him, is exactly what you saw up there first. Ronnie, I'm gonna ask you, because when that was brought up, we went to that meeting at American Legion Post, that luncheon, and we did say that there was we agreed that amendment was not accurate, it was not in concrete, that was a proposal and only a proposal. Correct?
That's correct.
And when we voted on that night, and Doc, I'm gonna help you because you were the one that kind of helped me. I read the amendment, but you kind of spearheaded the other part. Is when we talked about that, we said this amendment is only a proposal. It is not in concrete. We do not have the authority to do that as of yet. So when we did that, we signed, I had Ronnie, after we did the vote, much like we did tonight with going through, everybody agreed, and he did, and Ronnie signed it. But when we signed it, we did not realize that that was going to be put in writing as that was concrete and it was going to be done immediately. Is that correct? Is that everybody else's?
Are you gonna get to the discussion?
Okay, I'm sorry. That's my interpretation of it, and that's exactly what I recall.
And that's what you put in your notes?
Yes, sir, and that is exactly what I have in my notes.
Because I wanted to make sure, because I was asking a bunch of questions.
Yes, sir.
About all of that, and I wanted to make sure though that, like, nothing we were doing was set in stone, these were all just proposals. And, because I was like, well, this is, but anyway, there's a whole, we all know how lengthy the conversation was.
Yes, sir.
The questions I had, right?
Yes, sir.
I wanted to make sure that nothing that we voted on was permanent set in stone, which it, from my understanding, wasn't supposed to be, because then we had to pass it on to the county, and then the county had to do, you know what I mean? There's due diligence that had to be done after our proposal. It wasn't a set in stone kind of thing.
With the budget.
So that's where I was on that as far as that goes. So yes, I mean, because I very much made sure when I was in the discussion, none of this that we were voting on was actually set in stone. These were all still proposals.
It was all proposals.
Yes. And that's what was continued to be reiterated to me. So, and that's when you and I kind of small, like the breakdown kind of, but yes, it was all supposed to be proposals.
Yes.
To clarify for the room, is your objection that perhaps paragraph C of section 7 of the minutes, as they were approved, because there's no question they have been approved, may have been a little strong to say that Brad Yount will be promoted? Is that your objection, or what?
Yes, that is my objection.
Yes, they were all, everything was supposed to be, from what my understanding, everything was all proposals, nothing was set in stone. Because we still had to have, the county board still had to approve the new, from what I understood, the county board, we still had to have things approved by the county board before we can even start setting things in stone and different things like that. So
that was the budget.
All just proposed.
That was the budget that you're referring to.
Well, the budget and the new structuring. So
Well, they
because
don't weigh in on any of that.
everything, from what I understood from that night, everything was all proposal.
Yes, sir.
Not set in stone. That's all. That's my statement right there.
What do the rest of the board members think of their recollection of the meeting? Was the meeting that Mr. Yount will be promoted, or was that something that could happen in the future, possibly soon? I think, what did I say, soon?
I think the words recommended as the newly created assistant superintendent is more appropriate.
Okay. And again, this was back in July, right? Okay.
And as far as I was, to my recollection, yeah, thank you. There was nothing put in stone or anything that night. We all were just assuming that Brad Leviti would move on to this whenever it was time for him to make this move or whatever. So that position has never been filled for a long time in this office.
So you got.
Well,
Hold on a second. Did you get the other recollection?
I'm doing that now.
All right, so hold on. You might have to repeat yours.
I know.
'Cause I'm catching up here too.
Okay,
I
Mark,
think you just take the promoted out and say.
I know, recommended. Okay, so that's Mark.
Tom, I think,
Ron?
Doc was, right on.
From my recollection, all this stuff was just proposals because, that position has never been filled in this office for a long time and so it was all gonna be left up to Brad as to when or wherever it would,
Brad,
Levy
Thank you.
would be carried out and reported back to the board.
No, Larry, if you get there.
Hang on. I'm gonna go back over yours real quick, Ron. I'm sorry, guys, I try to make all the wording correct. Mark's yours was pretty easy. Ron, recollection, all that was proposed and left up to Brad Levy when to move forward, correct?
Pretty much.
It's not me.
Did you get yours, Larry?
No, I didn't.
Go ahead.
Larry?
You ready?
Yes, sir.
I think Doc was right on target. Whenever Doc was
Say,
speaking.
turn around and look at me. You're hard to hear.
I think Doc, what he had to say was exactly what I had heard at the time, especially when Doc was talking, believe me. Everybody was pretty quiet and they were listening to what he had to say. I don't know if you know, if you got the doctor in front of your name or it makes any difference or not, but I'll tell you that we were all paying attention when he was talking, and the way he said it, that's the way it had come down.
Anything else?
And Doc, what I have for you is, this was all proposal, nothing set in stone, period.
Yeah, that's the short and sweet version of it, but yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
That's not,
I do not,
Question on that.
I don't, you had a question? Sorry, go
Yeah,
ahead.
because I think, that was a proposal, yes, but didn't, these other job listings that was supposed to be done, if we came to that, wasn't it recommended that he was qualified for the job?
no.
I thought they said that. I might be wrong. I don't know, I thought that's what I heard in it, either those in a proposal.
The proposal,
They talked about the tier
Right.
of the salary structure.
right,
And that's not in here, but I don't know that you would put all that in here.
That question.
Brad grafted out.
I have a quick comment. Seems to be an important detail. At that same meeting, Brad Levy had asked roughly when we expected that to be effective, and my reply at that meeting was July 12th, because that's when Brad Levy and I had thought that would be effective. That's an important detail.
where was that?
That was during that meeting. At about the same time, everybody was excited about his new salary. Lots of folks were excited, and
Were
when he
you
asked,
in here with us?
I sure was. I was at that meeting.
Well, that, your comments are on, I guess you can recognize them for what they are, but
Yeah.
the minutes have to be approved by the board members, and.
Were they
and
approved
it's
on
there.
August 3rd?
So, my recommendation is, and legal advice would be, leave these as they are. The July 6, 2022 minutes, they were, we'll get to the bottom of who put them together, and publish them as they are. One question I have for you, Kate, is, and maybe this is just like,
I don't recall.
why wasn't this caught when these were approved?
Okay. and I did, and I wrote this.
I mean, that's a fair question, and it should be answered, and should be made part of the record, and I'm about to ask that everything be.
The biggest thing is, you know, sometimes we look over things and one word changed this whole meaning of everything. Coulda, woulda, shoulda, you know, or will. I looked back over my notes when I talked to Tom, and I said, could be soon. I don't recall any other discussion or remind of anything else that was said, what you said, July 12th.
July
I don't ever remember that being said anywhere in. I know that he showed us on the board the different tiers of how everything was, and then Brad, Don, and Brad Yunt left the room. That was when we did our discussions, and at no point where we looked at everything that we did, that amendment was only a proposal. And we asked that. And that's why Doc, help me here if I'm saying the wrong words, Doc even said that when we do this, we need to make sure that we're not stepping on toes. We need to make sure that it's approved by everyone. We need to make sure that we go back and look at different wage scales everywhere. And then, and only then, was it when we called for the vote to be accepted and signed by Ron.
All right,
Yes.
Kate,
Am I right?
you're about to be cut off by me. You're probably right, but that's not answering my question.
Well, it's my fault.
No, my question, and that's what I'm gonna get you back to, okay? Right now, if you get we were in trial,
Okay.
say, objection, Judge, she's not answering the question, it's non-responsive. Now, a question I would get to you again, why wasn't this caught? Just a mistake, you know, I mean,
Absolutely.
it got approved? I mean, why wasn't this, if you think this was this is wrong, my question to you as the secretary, why wasn't it caught? And it's okay, but it's a fair question.
Too many things on your mind and not paying attention.
Okay.
But
Are you,
Your notes are up there, right?
But my notes tell me otherwise. And that's what I gave to Brad at the end of that
all
meeting.
right, everybody's human and can make mistakes.
Who corrects all the minutes?
I'm sorry?
After you, does anybody correct the minutes after you?
No, sir.
You record your.
Well, she said that she gives those notes to the office manager.
Right. That's the only person that sees my notes. I give them to the office manager translates them and puts them into the minutes for the next month meeting.
So did you give your notes to Brad?
I sure did.
Not Brad Yount?
Yes, sir. As I've done under CJ, Devin, and in Devin's absence, I did for Brad Leviti. And when he did, I did to Brad Young.
Right.
Sir.
No.
I would like to point out that after you provide those to me, if I type them up as a courtesy, Brad Leviti is notified that they are ready. Brad Leviti reviews them prior to their publishing or being presented at the meeting.
Yeah, I can't answer you.
Wasn't a question, it was a comment.
Okay. This is my recommendation regarding the July minutes. I don't think it's appropriate to change what's been approved. It's okay to admit that you might have made a mistake in approving them, but you do that now and make the record of a mistake. If somebody wants to make a big deal out of it, they can. At a later time, and you're gonna have to explain, but just the way you did today, Kate, on why, and everybody else's, why it kinda got passed when this was done and you didn't think it was that right way. That will be carried out in the minutes that are approved for this meeting as a comment on them, but I don't believe in erasing things or taking things out or, reconsidering things. I think it's more appropriate. You've done enough to reconsider everything. I think it's appropriate to keep everything in the record and just make a new record that that you're critical of the minutes as passed and make the criticisms part of the minutes for this meeting, so that going forward, everybody knows that it was corrected as soon as practical and as soon as possible. And that way, everything's in the record, stays in the record, and, we go from there. That's my recommendation and my suggestion. So,
Are we ready?
Well, can I say this then? So what I did was, I will admit that on July 6th, there was a definite overlook on the wording that needs to be corrected.
Corrected.
Or-
Just like he just said, I already got it, so.
Right, you got it. Wording on the minutes.
so actually, I actually, for the minutes, I'm not asking for, I'm recommending that no action be taken. And you know what you get to do with no action? Do nothing. No vote, and no roll call. But you will have a roll call next month, or next regular meeting, where you will be approving the minutes, where all is discussed. Everybody should make notes of what they recall about it, because
If
we
you
will be
didn't write them on
approving
there,
the minutes
please do.
of this meeting, which will explain all of this. Okay.
So on B, all we wanna do is referring to the next meeting.
Yep.
For corrections. That's all we wanna do on that. Okay, we'll go to, review the monuments and memorials. So during the application received.
By the way, I wanna make a record here, Kate. Brad promised I'd be out of here by 8 o'clock, and for each minute he's out of here, he's not out of here before 8, he's buying me a beer.
8:07.
I got 7 beer. I got mine in the local house, I thought I had 6-pack already set up.
Alright,
He said laughingly and jokingly.
monuments and memorials. I just want to give a background here, just a little bit of a discussion. This isn't, the monuments and memorial stuff isn't something we just all of a sudden done in the last 1-2 years. This started back when I first started with the Doug Garbs Memorial here in Edwardsville, when Doug Garbs and his wife, Gold Star father and Gold Star mother, reached out to the VAC because they needed help doing research. And when they came in and they met with me multiple times, their story touched me. But at that time, I was still gaining my traction, and I didn't understand all of the stuff about funding and different people coming in and making requests. So at that time, the best I could do for him was to help him research the names throughout a wide area of Madison County for that monument and for his son, Ryan Garbs, who was killed in action, which I did. Spent countless time with him and his family doing that. He eventually got the monument memorial over there at the library park. And then, as soon as that got up, there was a lot of press around that. We went and with the World War II veteran, and we did a presentation down in Wood River at over all the stuff that happened in that monument. This is going back to 2010, 11, and I started talking to that World War II vet, Doug Garbs and I, and the World War II vet down there doing a presentation. Doug Garbs did a presentation of his challenges and everything that happened. And then coming out of that, the city of Wood River contacts me. And there we began the process of helping them do the same thing, research their names, make sure the people were on there that should have been on there. That went on for about another 1.5 years. We finally raised all the money, non-VAC at that time, and that monument was erected. We submitted the entire project to the governor, and we won the governor's hometown award for all the work that we did on that monument memorial. It was at that time we came back to the board and we wanted to make sure, and Ronnie, I think you may have been the only one that was around at that time, Earl may have been, and Kate may have been. And we, at that time, we made the pitch to the board. I was trying to dig through the minutes. Do we want to be involved with this on a regular basis? Because at that point it was becoming, I was getting more and more communities asking me to do research. I think Turner was maybe around too, but
Of course he was.
And then it was decided that I was spending too much time doing this research, which I felt obligated to do. That's when we began. The project initially started out as grave markers and restoration program, but that project was too big. So then we narrowed it down and narrowed it down and narrowed it down. And even back then at that time, we were discussing whether we would provide assistance to post. And if I remember, John from Warden, somebody remember his last name? Gray, silverhead guy. He was on the board for a really long time. He was the only one that had an objection to providing assistance to post to do things on post property. And out of that, there was only one, and even then I think he came around. But even then, all the way up until COVID, we not do any assistance to any, or grants or anything to any post. Came back up again because post needed money, they needed help, and then we defined the parameters. So I just want to make it clear, we're back at this again. It's been brought up again. I can dig through the minutes and go back. I would like to have time to do that. And then I think we come back at this thing next year, and if you guys as a board do not feel that monuments and memorials and preserving the history of veterans and all of that stuff is something the VAC should be a part of, that's fine. But over the years, I would not have kept doing this if we didn't have a specific mission and a purpose in what we were doing. And that was to preserve the monuments and memorials and help communities repair these monuments and memorials, or build them, or do whatever they wanted to do. And the little money that we could put forth, by the time I added up all of my hours helping these people research, and families contacted me and saying, hey, can we get my son or daughter put on the wall or the memorial or whatever it is, the little money that we gave wasn't enough. And the amount of time that we put together as this office, going back through all the monuments and memorials that we did, I won't go back. I think it's a very important part of our history and our heritage. And I think that if we don't do this, but like I said, we'll take it up again. We have 2 monuments and memorial applications that came in. So we only had 3 this year, which was marks the flag burn pit, which had been out there for years. We got another request from Glen Carbon, or we had 199. We helped them redo a ramp and an automatic door opener, right?
Well, it's in the process, we're not
Yep.
done yet. But
And everything that we do with the post, or any of these things, the monuments and memorials, we only buy materials, and most of the materials are to provide for accessibility, handicap, concrete, railings, different things like that. There's other times where we've been approached, where we did a project in Collinsville, and then now they're at phase 2, and to repair the bricks and the pavers, where people, not only veterans, but citizens, go visit these monuments. And that's the other one, is the Collinsville phase 2. We've never had a reapply, because I've always said we want to get as many of these out to the post that we can, that have not received them in the past. So that's the other one. And Kate has a Boy Scout one. Once again, there's a tank setting in a park. And most of the time, we put the pitch out to the Boy Scouts. So these are Boy Scout projects that are doing this. And we're pairing up the Boy Scouts with people who are interested in doing this, veterans. And we're providing a little bit of funding. This one, for that one, is to put, once again, sidewalks around the tank.
And handicap
And
access.
handicap access. And we get signage. But there's more to this than that. If you were here and you were listening to all of these stories and people telling me this stuff over the years, I just don't have the time to go back, but these are in your communities. And the other one, 2 of them are still hanging out there from COVID, which we didn't get to. Ron Swain, Godfrey, you're following up on that one right now.
Yes.
And the Alton High School one. So I just want, these are 2 out there because COVID hit. We provided the funding. They were supposed to move forward during COVID and that got scrapped. I circled back with the Alton High School ROTC. I communicated with her over the last couple of days. Ron circling back with Godfrey. Let me just explain the one in Godfrey. So the one in Godfrey, and I know I'm taking up you guys' valuable time. So we've always had a problem with veterans not being able to afford burial. They can't afford a funeral. And all the veterans that come up here to our office that receive assistance for burial, they get $900.
Yep.
That's enough. That's not even enough to cremate them. You go ask a cemetery or a mortuary how much it costs, not even enough. That just gets their ashes in a box, in a bag, in a box. That's it. Now, they can go choose to be interred down at Jefferson Barracks after the fact, but the family don't understand that process. But that still don't get them a funeral. Even at Jefferson Barracks, they get 15 minutes, I think, 15 minutes. When we started talking with the Godfrey, I forget, Josephine's, the owner of Josephine's, who's a veteran, he asked, what is it that we could do to fulfill a need with this monument memorial? And we had discussions. And he brought back the coolest freaking monument and idea that I've ever heard of. He said, we're going to make a monument that looks like a casket that has a flag draped over it, and we're going to invite anybody in the community, veteran or not, who can't afford a funeral. They're not going to bring the casket there, but they can gather their family around that monument memorial for free. We're putting together $4,500 for this, and it's probably going to cost, I forget what the thousands. I want to be a part of that. That's just me, and I'll be a part of it all day long. The one for Alton High, we were approached by them. They wanted to put the monument memorial way in the back of the football field. If anybody knows where Alton High is, the football field, they wanted to put the monument memorial for veterans way back there. I said, I won't be a part of that if we put it back there. I advocated, and guess where that monument's going? Right in the front. And then they asked me, well, what do we want to do? Because we want to make sure it includes veterans and names and all this stuff. I said, no. We need, these kids have it tough. They have mental health crises going on, and they need somebody to talk to. And Larry Meisenheimer, you were there on some of these discussions with these schools. And they said they don't have anybody to talk to. The kids. We went back and redesigned the monument, taking pretty much, yeah, there's going to be veterans emblems and stuff, but it's not the one. It's when I started talking to them, they were going down the same mentality of we need to put the dead on there, the names of the dead. And I was like, the kids don't want to see that.
Yeah.
This monument needs to be a place that honors veterans and allows the kids in the school to come out there. And I think we talked about this, Larry, 2 times a year, we as a board, and you guys may remember this, would go out there on Memorial Day and Veterans Day. And we would do rotations out there. And any kid that was in that building having problems with mental health, they could come out and talk to a veteran that day. And talk about anything. Suicide, death, bullying, whatever it may be. Because that's where they need to be having those conversations with people that understand. That conversation right there changed that entire project. Because now all the guidance counselors were like, wow, we love that idea. But that didn't come from me, that came from Larry. Because Larry and I went, how many schools did we go through before COVID? How many of these ceremonies did we go through?
Several.
These ideas didn't come from just me. They came from people sitting in this room after multiple conversations. This board is awesome. And we want to support anybody in the community that's doing great things. Now granted, we're not gonna give money away because we don't wanna be the agency, once again, where people constantly come to money. But some of these projects, I mean, I think $4,500 is relatively low. That monetary value was put in place because before, and Tom may remember this, he's adding up the beers right now.
I got a case over here right now.
We only could do up to $5,000 because we were underneath the county control. So if I wanted to approve anything over $5,000 before what, 2017 or 18, I had to go through the purchasing committee and then they get to weigh in on it and all this stuff. And then guess what? Here we are 2 years later and nothing gets done. So all of these projects, and I got the count, the intent was this after we won the governor's hometown award, was while we were doing that, constantly, veterans came up, disabled veterans came up and said, we cannot access these monuments. And Turner, I've been hounding him for a decade now to get out there and film these monuments so we can put them on our website. Virtual. And we have all the history. We have all the people who are involved. We involved the Lewis and Clark School to put the names on the wall. They did all the research for all the veterans. This is a great project. And I'm just gonna throw it out there to you guys again.
Come off your pedestal.
Do we need we don't need a.
No, I'm just
vote on it,
giving people the history on the record.
Yeah.
Because I have been helping, I did one at Highland Rinder Park, and I am assisting with this young man with the Eagle Scout project. And I think that it is an absolute necessity. I make a motion to approve the monuments.
Well, we already got these on the table, so we don't need a motion. This is just saying that we received the applications and we'll review them before November 30th.
So what is this?
Yeah, no, it is.
To approve
Yes,
the ones that we have,
yes. 'Cause I wanna
Okay,
get
no.
you guys,
I
just
wanna-
the two that are out there.
which is,
Yours and
no, it's not
Not
mine, it's
yours.
Eagle Scout.
I got them right here. Kyle Hess, Eagle Scout Project, Marine, Illinois Park.
Right?
Glenn Carbon, American Legion 435, Operation Compliant Access to ADA Doors. And Collinsville, VFW 365, this is the phase 2. This would be the second reapply to redo the pavers around the helicopter. I believe it's the helicopter, right? In front of their.
It'd be American
We
Legion.
don't have it all.
Or the American Legion.
American 365 is the American Legion.
Yeah, I was gonna say that it's
Sorry.
56.
American Legion.
Well, I make a motion to approve them.
Second, whoever,
So we're talking about the two,
talking about
or
the
three.
three that we have on record right now, that's been
The ones that you
grants,
just- okay.
application received.
I second that. Right.
No, I know your name. I've already told you why.
Uh-oh. Don't tell him, yeah. Secret there.
The motion and second, discussion, approve the grants that we have application received at present. And, any discussion, well, you got discussion, so, motion carried.
Yeah, call for the vote.
Don't say call for it, almost got it. Roll vote.
Yeah, Paul.
Okay, the motion was to accept the, approve the monuments we have. Ronnie Hicks,
Yes.
Earl Watts,
Yes.
Mark Nelson,
Yes.
Kate Broadhurst, yes. Vern Leclerc,
Yes.
Larry Meisenheimer,
Yes.
Ken Morales,
Yes.
Don Shire,
Yes.
Ron Swain,
Yes.
Mike Harbison. Doc, did you go to sleep?
I think you took off. I think your phone.
Uh-oh. Doc?
No phone.
Gary Hartnell.
I think that's him trying to call in, but I don't want Ronnie to drop off, so. But we already got a quorum, right?
Okay. So he dropped off.
That's Dave.
Okay.
He didn't say yes, or?
Well, it's come on tomorrow, yeah.
Is he there?
No, Ronnie.
Okay, so I'm gonna write Doc abstain.
No, actually taking off work, she's gonna bring her home.
But I guess.
No, just gonna go by and pick her up.
I'm assuming that they're.
10 yes, you're gonna announce
Sir, I
it?
have 10 yes, 0 nays, and 1 abstain.
It all worked out.
Hold on,
Once he
son.
abstained, he dropped off.
Okay.
He didn't abstain.
Passed, yes.
Yes.
No, they can take care of it, it will, so.
And I wrote, he fell off the call.
She seems a lot chippier than that.
Hey, let's go, man. I'm about up here.
Is there
to
anything
kegs
else?
Right now, we're talking kegs.
I don't have anything else for good of the commission. I think what I read in here before is the application for board of directors and so forth, they gotta be in by November the 30th, am I right? Well, that would be the board member.
I got too many minutes here in front of me.
It's December though.
No, this is a December meeting.
Anybody got anything for the good of the commission?
The only thing I wanna say is good of the commission, don't forget, and one of the things that Brad brought up, Veterans Day is coming up, and I will again invite anybody to Highland if you'd like. On the 9th, we're going to go to St. Paul's, our Pocahontas School at noon at the square. And on the 10th, we start at 7 a.m. with a free breakfast at Highland High School.
Well, I appreciate your call, babe.
Then we go parade at 7 o'clock,
What time?
7 o'clock Friday, November 11th.
Friday at 7?
November 11th.
I've got something for the good commission. I was told by one of the board members, and I don't know that it's true or it's not true, so I don't have any dates or times or any of the details, but somebody had been slamming Ronnie Hicks at a VFW or an American Legion. And when they told me that, like I said, I hope the alleged is not true. But in fact, if it is true, I would hope that they'd think that over pretty closely. I've talked to Ronnie a little bit, and granted, I don't know him as well as some of these guys do, but I know everybody's MOS was important to him or whatever, but I don't know. Ronnie was a chopper pilot, and he had told me that the general that was the CEO wanted to abort the mission because it was too dangerous, and chances of getting shot down were pretty great for picking up these infantrymen. Well, being an infantryman myself and being there, I'd been in that situation a few times, and he went against orders. Ronnie went against orders to go ahead and pick these guys up, and I have to tell you, there's nobody here that probably couldn't put themselves in maybe one of those grunts, one of those ground pounders place that was looking to get picked up, that maybe wouldn't get picked up, that would have got overrun, which that happened more times than not. But Ronnie, he didn't worry about the orders. He didn't worry about any of it. He went in there and he got those guys. And I just think whenever I heard that, it kind of brought a tear to my cheek, and it tells me that we just don't have a lot of guys around like that. And I want that I appreciate him, and Ronnie doesn't know that I was gonna say that, but I had to get it off my heart, Ronnie, because, I just, like I said, I hope that the alleged was all false, but in the event it isn't, I hope that, this will put a little different light on who we may want to, say something about or thing, and, maybe find out a little more about them. That's all I had to say.
Anybody else has anything to add for the good of the commission? The annual meeting Thursday, December 15th, and we can make a motion to adjourn after that. Nobody has nothing else to say.
I'd like to say two things. Sorry, I'm gonna keep you. But I think it's important details when you're reconsidering, taking a look at your minutes and the jotted down notes and the type notes and anything that was approved or not approved, or resolutions that you may have fully adopted or not fully adopted, or things that were in questions, that it's important to note that 3 people see those before they make it back to the board. That process, which I am uniquely qualified to give you details on, when they come from handwritten copies from Kate, and Kate passes those off to the office manager as a courtesy, because that is a duty of the secretary of the board to type those up. If there was ever a question, and on multiple occasions, the office manager has emailed Kate and asked her for clarification, and no clarification has ever come back. After that, then they're posted internally on the Google Suite, where Brad Leviti gets a chance to take a look at those. So 3 people see all of these minutes prior to any meeting of the board. That's 3 people that see those for inconsistencies. That's important. And if there's ever a question about intent on anything that pertains to the July 6th meeting, what was discussed, what was not discussed, ask the staff, because they were also presented a presentation on the board here by the superintendent. If you want answers and you want to understand what the intent is, it might be beneficial to ask the staff. That's my 2 cents for that.
Anybody else? If not, we'll adjourn.
No, you get a motion. Tim Rouse, I'll take a motion to adjourn.
Second.
You gotta get home.
Ron Swain?
You're looking tired.
Open and second that we adjourn. We'll flag and go home.
Now the time is 8:33.